Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So we're going to be talking about Mackenzie McKee, and before I even start the video off or get too much into it, I do want to put up a trigger warning. This video we're going to be covering sexual abuse, child sexual abuse. So I feel like I need to put this out there, so if you don't want to watch, you can skip it, or if you want to try to watch, you can just proceed with caution, knowing what we're going to talk about. Mackenzie has released her book. It is a memoir about her earlier years, from my understanding. I do think I'm going to order the book, and maybe I'll just go over the book a little bit on my channel. But the name of the book is Straightening My Crown, Conquering My Royal Mistakes. She announced this book and she showed off the title of the book a couple months back, and I did cover that when she put it out. But now we are hearing some of the bits and pieces from the book, and you guys, it's heartbreaking what we're hearing already. So like I said, I think I may get the book and then just, read it in some of the most surprising situations or things like that I may bring back to my channel and talk about with you guys. YouTube has gotten a little bit more strict on how you cover books. In the past, I got Leah Messer's book and I got the Chris Watts book, and I went over it chapter by chapter basically, and you can't really do that anymore. So I think maybe I'll just order it, and then I'll read the book, and everything that is shocking, surprising, things that we really didn't know about, I'll go over on my channel. Now, to kind of bring things back a little bit, we know Mackenzie McKee because she starred in MTV's Teen Mom 3. That's where we were first introduced to her then boyfriend Josh, and introduced to her parents. She was born and raised in Oklahoma. She had a very Christian, conservative Christian family, where everyone was shocked to find out that she was pregnant, but her mom stood behind her. She's went through a lot of heartbreak, you guys. She has dealt with it. I mean, from troubles in her marriage. Well, first off, let's put it this way. From getting pregnant at an early age, right? Getting pregnant at an early age and being in a Christian conservative family, because you know how that can be. And that was tough for her, but thankfully she had such great parents and such a great support system that they just loved on her, and they supported her, and they tried to be there for her. Her parents encouraged her to continue her relationship with Josh and to work on that relationship as hard as possible, so they could be a family. And honestly, I do think that if her mother and her father did not encourage that relationship the way that they did, they may not be together today. But they did. They really done everything in their power to encourage that relationship. So we saw Mackenzie deal with those struggles, and she was a diabetic. Teen Mom 3 was canceled. We went a few years where we really didn't hear much from her. But then she was added to the cast of Teen Mom OG, where she comes back. Her and Josh, they're married, but they're struggling. They're having some marriage issues. It was alleged that he cheated on her multiple times, and one time being with her cousin, a family member. Her mom, Angie, passed away from cancer. Her dad dealing with heart problems while trying to deal with losing his wife. He's having heart surgery, things such as that. So she's really dealt with it, you guys. But I don't know if it really compares to what we find out in this book. Like I said, trigger warning, we're about to dive right into it. Sexual abuse, child sexual abuse, molestation. That's what we're going to be talking about, you guys. So you may just want to brace yourself or click off. So in Mackenzie's book, she explained how she grew up as an extrovert in her hometown of Oklahoma, and she wanted nothing more than to be around people. She wanted to be liked. She loved hanging out with people. She was desperate to have friends, which ended up making her, she was a target to be manipulated. She was easily taken advantage of because she so desperately wanted to hang out with people that I guess they could probably see that. She described herself as tiny and scrawny. She explained that when she was just 4 years old, she would often play with a boy 8 years older than her, who belonged to the daycare that her mom ran in her house. So she wrote in the book, "We often played together, and one day he told me we were going to play a new game where we would pretend to be dogs. I loved games and dogs, so naturally I was excited. We began imagining that we were puppies, and he told me I would have a special role to play. I was going to be the mommy dog, and he would be the daddy dog. Mommy dogs," he explained, "don't wear pants." and he pulled me into the closet and shut the door where no one else could find us. I was the mommy dog, and I had to do puppy things, as all mommy dogs do. The boy did inappropriate things, and this happened a few times. I was confused, but I played along since I so desperately wanted to be liked. Mackenzie explained a similar incident that happened with a different boy when she was also a small child. She said she stayed the night at the house of someone her mom trusted who had a son who was in his early teens. She said he told me he wanted to wrestle, and being a rough and tumble tomboy, I was ready to throw down. Quickly, I realized this was a different type of wrestling than the one I played with my siblings back home. Things went in a direction that made me uncomfortable, even though at that time I knew nothing. He did it nearly every time I would visit. One day, he asked me if I wanted to wrestle, and I told him no. With fire in his eyes, he yelled at me, "No, you're going to wrestle with me, whether you want to or not." I had never seen him react so angrily and strongly when I refused to play other games, and I wonder why wrestling was so different. After I wouldn't wrestle with him that time, he never wanted to play with me again. I didn't understand why, but I figured that saying no to wrestling must have been the problem. But I didn't know what I could do to make him like me again. I later realized how damaging this is to children. We learn at a young age that people will throw us away if we stand our ground. It also ruins a child's self-esteem, and later in life, that grown child has difficulty seeing where this loss came from. Now, Mackenzie goes on in her book to explain how she did not know what sex even was. She didn't know that these games were bad. She had no idea until she was a little bit older. She was at a friend's house, and they was flipping through the channels of the TV, and they come across this movie that was in the middle of this pornographic scene. That's where they stopped and they watched it, and she said that neither of them had ever seen anything like it. What they saw seemed weird and gross to them, but they was curious. So they left it there for a little bit. She said as the movie went on, she started having flashbacks of the puppy game and wrestling. In the book, she says, I felt a sense of extreme discomfort wash over me as I realized that what we were watching was an awful lot like the puppy games and the wrestling that the older boys had convinced me to do when I was younger. Even though my friend and I giggled uncomfortably, what was happening in the movie seemed naughty and wrong. It was something reserved for adults, and certainly not something you should force on someone. That's been done to me before, I thought to myself in horror. I'm not a good human. I'm not as pure as my parents think I am. I'm not innocent. I'm dirty and I'm gross. And that's why they like my siblings more. I felt like I finally had an answer for being different. I had been ruined. That is so sad, you guys. That is so sad that the second that she realized what had happened, rather than in her mind thinking, oh my God, they did that to me. That's so terrible what they did to me. She immediately took the blame on herself. And then she made, other things like make sense. Like, oh, that's why it seems like my parents like my siblings more. And I'm sure that was probably not the case at all, but as children, we see things in whatever way we want to perceive them at. If we get in trouble one day and our sibling does it, well, in our eyes, our mom likes our sibling more, But then she made things like that make sense. And probably from that point going forward, when things like that would happen, and in her mind, she would see her parents show favoritism, she would think, well, that was why. That even though her parents didn't know, that maybe they could sense something, She wrote that she could not tell her parents what happened. She said, I couldn't tell anyone. In fact, this is the very first time I've shared these stories publicly. I've kept this in for so long, but I felt this was the time to share, because maybe my experiences could help someone else who's gone through something similar. Yeah, I agree that when you feel comfortable, coming out with something like this, because it could help someone. So many people, unfortunately, deal with being abused at a young age, and they don't know how to handle it. You don't know if you should say something, you don't know if you should speak up. And then you have children of your own, and you worry about them, and you still don't know how to handle it. So a lot of parents, they just kind of keep their kids at home and never really let them go stay anywhere, because they know what happened to them when they were little. Mackenzie says this incident shaped her personality and influenced other choices growing up, as it is a lot to carry at such a young age. Now, she did talk about, the boys that did this to her later on in the book. She said, while I don't believe they are the type of adults who would do something like that to children, I could be wrong. Neither one has ever talked to me about what happened or apologized. Maybe they don't remember it happening, or maybe they believe I was too young to remember. Regardless, I don't think for a second they live with the knowledge that what they did changed my life forever and contributed to losing my self respect and lowering expectations for myself. I thought I had lost all my value as a human being. I had been abused. Anyone who's gone through this should know that there's no need to carry shame and guilt for something that others did to you. I sometimes wish I had gotten help sooner instead of bottling this up inside and letting the pain come out in simple behavior. But like I always say, our struggles mold us into the strong people we become. So, even though that was so tough for her to talk about, she did end, that on somewhat of a positive note just by encouraging others to not carry any shame or guilt. Saying that maybe she should have come out sooner. And so that could encourage other people to talk about it sooner, or to talk to, their parents about what happened maybe. Or just maybe come out to your therapist, go to counseling over it, seek healing over it. Straightening My Crown, Conquering My Royal Mistakes is available on Kindle and will be released in hardcover on October 19th. I think I'm going to grab me a copy of it, you guys. But that's just one of the situations that she revealed in her book that we had no idea. We did not know. And like I said, we've watched Mackenzie on Teen Mom 3. We watched her on Teen Mom OG. And we already knew that she's had somewhat of a tough life dealing with all that she's dealt with. She's younger than me. I'm 34. I know she's younger than me, and she's already lost her mom. Her dad, health-wise, is not doing well. Her dad also is a diabetic. He had heart surgery. She's already dealt with a lot, you guys. So I'm glad that she was able to put this in her book. Finally come out with this, because I would have to imagine putting this in her book has helped her, and maybe she's on her way to healing. You guys leave me your thoughts in the comment section below. Also, if you guys think, or if you guys want me to purchase the book and then kind of come here and give you guys rundowns of certain situations that she spoke about in the book, please let me know. Make sure you give the video a huge thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Goodbye, everyone.